Hey guys, my name is Haley, and we have finally a little holder. I found my letter opener that I was looking for the other day to hold like this for my mic to see if it helps with all the muffling noises. So, hi, I haven't decided yet. I just filmed this whole clip without plugging in my mic, so we're off to a great start. But I haven't decided yet if this is going to be a 12-hour or a 24-hour readathon. I will preface that right now. I am going to set a 12-hour timer and then decide how I'm feeling over that because I have three and a half days off of work, and I wanted to get a bunch of my TBR books done or out of the way because I have a million of them for October, and I feel like October is like speeding by at the speed of light, and I feel like it's already out of hand, and I haven't read anything, even though I have, but again, with the long TBR. But I am pulling up my 12-hour timer. I will actually show you when I start it. And I'm going to show you the books that I could pick from, might pick from, have thought about reading, am in the middle of, all of the above. We'll show you the TBR. The first of those being Vincent Torrado's Burn Down, Rise Up. I'm about, I think, 65-ish% into this. This is the same author as We Came to Welcome You, which I loved last month. And this is YA. It reads really fast. I've really only sat down to read it like maybe 2 or 3 times, and I'm like that far into it already. Especially with the fact that I haven't had that much time to read. It's going pretty well. I'm also in the middle of night film. I do not expect to finish this weekend. If I do, that sounds great. But this is like a 500 plus page book, and I am currently 37 pages into it. Oh my god, this is almost 600 pages. And it's mixed media and way denser, more dense than everything else I have on this TBR. So I'm hoping to chip away at that one. I'm probably not going to finish it, but it's technically on the TBR. And then I also, one that's not a priority, am in the middle of Queer Little Nightmares. This is a queer anthology about monsters. I've read like 3 or 4 stories. Some of them are super short and like poetry and all of that. So we're in the middle of that. And then ones I'm hoping to get to, I'll start with the 2 that are on the TBR for the month. The first being the Graveyard book. I'm probably going to borrow this off of KU right after I finish Burn Down, Rise Up and read it on Kindle. But I do own it physically. This is also middle grade and has pictures and everything. So I think this will go very fast. So I think it's great for a readathon. Then we have Our Wives Under the Sea. This book is not very long. Never done this while holding a book with the mic. This is like less than 300 pages. I already own the ebook of this, and it's been on my TBR since it came out, which I feel like was quite a while ago because I got this cover from Book Depository, and Book Depository does not exist anymore. So on the TBR. And then I have a couple of graphic novels. We have The House in the Poplar Wood. I heard somebody talk about this the other day when I got it from a library book sale. And it's super short. Oh, it's not a graphic novel. I thought it was. The cover looked like it, but it's like middle grade or even children's. I don't really know what the age group is. But I figured it would be a fast read, and I was told that it was kind of spooky and good for the fall. So I'm interested in reading this one. And then I have a graphic novel, and that is And the Ocean Was Our Sky by Patrick Ness. I've owned this for years. I've never read it. I'm not a big graphic novel person, and I don't even think this one's fully graphic novel. It definitely has some prose in it along with a bunch of pictures. But again, will be a fast read. That is the theme of this video. That's all I'm trying to do. And then I have this Newberry Halloween. This is a Halloween anthology that was released in, I think, 1993, which was the year I was born, in case you were wondering. And I think this has like 12 or 13 short stories for the anthology. So figured that would be very timely and good for the season. And then I also have this middle grade book I picked up at a library book at a thrift store. And I picked up these 2 books and was like, oh, maybe I'll read those for like a reading vlog or something. And now I'm running out of time to even film reading vlogs in the month, so it's being thrown into this reading vlog. But this is called Time Windows by Catherine Rice. And this is something about a dollhouse. and she's realizing that the dollhouse are like duplicates of her real home. And this just gives me like 90s sci-fi thriller vibes, which I read so many of those as a kid, so I figured I would get into this one. And then last, I have this nonfiction about a girl from Ohio. Something about children who went missing. I didn't realize it was nonfiction. I thought it was a thriller when I picked it up, but it is apparently nonfiction. So I might get to that, but that is the lowest priority of all of these. But yes, see if I can do this. That is my TBR for a 12-hour / 24-hour readathon. Am I going to read all of these? Absolutely not. Do I like having a lot of options? Yes. But yes, I'm also in the process of doing laundry and other life things, so I'll update you as I read these, and let's get right on into it. 12-hour timer set. We'll give you updates on the time as we go. I also will preface this by saying that I definitely said this in the intro where I didn't have the mic and forgot to do it again. I do not stay up for readathons. I need my sleep. I am old. So the 12 or 24 hours will be, I will stop the timer every time I stop reading. And that's how this is going to go, because I cannot physically stay up or I will die. Thank you. Now we will get into the reading. Hello. I have about, this looks so funny holding it up to my face. I have about an hour left to read of Burn Down, Rise Up, and I will update you when I finish that. I am honestly just trying to finish it as I wait on the laundry to be all done. That is my update for the time being. Good morning. I didn't film anything last night, but I finished a book and got a decent way into another one. I ended up finishing Burn Down, Rise Up last night. I gave it 4 stars. I liked all of the commentary on race, especially in that end, gentrification and things like that set in New York City. That was a good read to me. It definitely reads YA, so if you're not a big YA person but you like a darker story, I do think it is accessible for people who don't necessarily read YA. And then I got how far into? 35%. I read it on I almost said iPad, on my Kindle last night because it was dark and I cannot be bothered to read a physical book when it's dark. I read the first 35% of The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I'm really enjoying this. I think it's very fun, about this little boy who gets his parents and his family is killed, and then he ends up in the graveyard, and the ghosts of the graveyard are the ones taking care of him, as well as this mysterious man who is not a ghost, but we don't quite know what type of creature he is, but he doesn't seem to be human. And so far, this is him, like the little boy making friends with a girl, and the girl thinks he's imaginary because he lives in a graveyard and doesn't have parents. But I really like the writing of this. I do like Neil Gaiman's writing, but I don't always love the execution of his stories. So I'm curious what I will think of this one, because I liked the concept of the ocean at the end of the lane. But the book itself was not my favorite. It might have also been because I listened to it on audio, and I don't know if audio was the correct way to do that, which is why I'm reading his book, The Graveyard Book, physically, because I'm seeing if that might make a difference in how much I like Gaiman's stories. But today, while the sun is out, I'm going to try to read, at the very least, this one, which is And the Ocean Was Our Sky. This has a lot of illustrations. I think I can definitely read this relatively fast. And then if I get through that one, I might start also The House on Poplar Wood, which I actually read the synopsis of this time. And apparently this book is set on Halloween. It's these 2 kids, I think they're twins, and they can only leave the house on Halloween. And I was like, I knew this had a fall thing to it. That's what it was. That was the reason, is that it is set on Halloween. And I think those are my plans for today. I might also try to make a dent in Night Film, just because I haven't read it in like a day or two, And if I put it down, I'll end up DNFing it again. And I don't want to do that because I've already DNF'd this book twice. If you didn't see my TBR or my like fall reset, Night Film is a book I have owned for a while. Then I got rid of it because I had DNF'd it twice. I've DNF'd it on audio, I've DNF'd it on ebook. And so I'm like, I need to just try to read this thing physically. Otherwise, it's never going to happen because third time's either the charm or three strikes you're out, and I'm going to give up on reading the book ever again. It's bizarre too because it's a book I should love. It's horror. It's one of the like most highly rated horrors, I swear, that I hear people talk about all the time. And it's mixed media, which is my favorite format, especially for horror. So those are probably my main plans for today. And then once it gets dark, I will probably go back to the graveyard book. But we're going to get to these three. I think I read for 2 hours. What am I at? I am at 8 hours and 26 minutes. So I read for about 3 or 4 hours almost last night, which is longer than I thought I did. But I did finish the last like 45% of Burn Down, Rise Up, finished a book, and got 30-some% into another book. So I feel like that's pretty solid for my first night of reading. I was already thinking last night that I'm probably going to turn this into a 24-hour readathon since I got so much done in the first like evening, which I was not expecting to do because I thought I would be super tired after work, but we'll see. But I'm going to dive into one of these here in a little bit. I just got out of the shower and I'm finally going to read today. It's several hours later. I was catching up on YouTube, but I'm about to dive into And the Ocean Was Our Sky. So I'll update you, I'm assuming after I finish this one because it's not very long, but we'll see. Let's go. I have just made the upsetting realization that this is essentially a Moby Dick retelling from the sounds of the synopsis and the 3 chapters that I did read. And as someone who tried to read Moby Dick in high school, I don't think I got very far. And otherwise, that story has never interested me. I don't think I can read this. It's already boring. It is told from the whale's perspective instead of the men's perspective, which is obviously the big difference for Moby Dick. But I'm only a couple chapters in. I already don't care. I already don't understand why the whales have a feud or a war against the men. And as much as I love Patrick Ness's writing, I don't think this book is for me. So I'm going to swiftly set it down instead of giving it 2 stars on Goodreads within an hour or two. So I'm going to go find something else to read, and I'll be back. Okay, I think I'm going to read The House in Poplar Wood. Why is that so hard to say? By K.E. Ormsby. I believe this is a middle grade, and it's set on Halloween, and I feel like I should like this. If I don't, this video is going to be very short. Oh, I didn't even pause my timer because I did start reading. Hold on. Pause. We're at 8 hours and 18 minutes for my 12-hour timer. Though I do think I'm going to turn this into a 24-hour readathon, depending how much I get read in the next day or so. But yeah, we're going to read this one and try this again. I'm back and I'm going to give you a synopsis now that I know what's going on. But this is a story about 2 twin boys who are, I'm guessing, preteens from the age group that this is meant for. And it is about, there's this curse that they live in the same part or the same house, but the house is divided into 2 parts. And the Poplar house will forever be divided into 2 parts, east and west. And on one side, Felix lives with his father in death, and on the other side, Lee lives with his mother in memory. And the father, has always predicted every person who has ever died or if they were going to live that comes to him. He's like a physician for the town. And the mother, I think, jars memories is what's going on the other side of the house, and the parents are never allowed to set eyes on each other for the rest of their days. And this is the deal they've made with death for whatever reason. I'm 25 pages in and I'm really enjoying it. It sounds very interesting. It's a very unique premise, in my opinion. And I find it interesting that they're 2 separated twins. This kind of reminds me of, if you've ever read Middle Game, by Seanan McGuire, which I read years ago and really, really enjoyed, and was too scared to continue the series because I heard a lot of people hated the second book, and I will someday read it and decide whether I like it or not. This reminds me a little bit of that, but the middle grade version of it, because that story is very dark. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to sit here and probably just read the rest of it for the afternoon. And then see what other stories I get up to reading. And like 2-ish hours later, I have finished The House in Poplar Wood. This was really cute. I liked it a lot. It's been a while since I've read a middle grade, and I forgot how fun they can be. This definitely it didn't read too young, so if you're someone like me who also doesn't read a lot of middle grade or even YA anymore, I feel like this one still holds up. The one thing I will say about this is that the premise literally had a whole thing about they can only get together on Halloween, and that only happens like once in this entire book. Literally nothing else has anything to do with Halloween. So that was kind of disappointing because I was reading this for the spooky, like, fall Halloween vibes, and that is not what I got. But I did get a really cute story about, like, magic and magical rites and spells and, like, the ability of, like, almost Giver-esque where you can, like, have your memories taken away by memory, which is one of the creatures, whatever. They had a name in this. What are they called? Not creatures, shades. The shades of, there's like memory, there's death, and there's passion, and they have like an ongoing war with the three of them. And this town has not been run the way it was supposed to because these three do not get along, and these three young kids decide to try to figure out a way to fix this. And it was really cute. If you like middle grade or you know any middle grade readers, I do recommend this. I gave it 4 stars, even as, again, as someone who does not read a lot of middle grade or young adult even anymore. But didn't have the most fall vibes. If anything, I feel like this had a little bit more of a winter vibe, so maybe save it for like November, December time. But it was cute, and I did enjoy it, and I am glad that I have gotten it off my TBR. But yeah, I think we were going to go somewhere later and then decided not to because going out on Friday nights with other humans is a lot, especially at the time when everybody is sick. So I realized that I own Tomi, and I've never read it, by Junji Ito. I've read quite a bit of Junji Ito. I don't remember if I've talked about it on here or not, or if I read him during the time. Oh, can't show that on YouTube. During the time that I wasn't making videos. But I might replace, what was it called? The Patrick Ness. And The Ocean Was Our Sky with Tomi, because this is definitely more October based. If you didn't know, Junji Ito is a horror manga writer, so manga is also a fast read. And I think this one is about a girl who's like a succubus. It's been a while since I read any Junji Ito, but I think I might throw this one on the TBR, as if I don't have enough things already to read. But I think I'm going to start this, or I'm going to make a dent in. This is what I'm probably going to do. I'm going to make a dent in night film before it gets dark, and then by the time it gets dark, I'm probably going to switch over to Kindle and try to finish the Graveyard book by the end of tonight. That's the current plan. Hello, it's been like a whole day, maybe more than that, since we last spoke. I did start Tomi, but I didn't start it until today. I definitely did not start it right after the last clip that I filmed. I also have acquired a cold since the last time we spoke, so for my own mental health and physical health, I'm going to keep this at a 12-hour vlog, of which I have 5 hours and 26 minutes left, so I'm going to finish the, like, supposed 2 hours, according to Kindle, I have left of the Graveyard book, and then I'm going to read the entirety of Tomi. This is a manga, so I am that far. I'm like, what, 100 some pages in? Oh, 245. This is like a 700 plus page manga, and mangas read fast, but it's still huge, so I'm going to do that today, and then I'm going to call it on this vlog because I have a lot of other things to do this week. So we're going to get into reading Tomi, and then we're going to check in after I finish that, and then I'm probably going to Graveyard Book and check in when I finish that, and then edit and upload this. That's my plan. I'm struggling. Talking is not fun right now with the sore throat, but I did finish Tomi. This one is set up a lot like his other story. I've read quite a bit of Junji Ito over the years. This is set up a lot like Yo, where it's a bunch of short stories essentially, except the difference with this one being all the short stories are about Tomi, and it's about the different ways that Tomi has affected different parts of Japan and different people in their lives. But yeah, this was really fun. I'm probably going to give it like a 3.5 or 4 stars. It's very run of the mill Junji Ito in my opinion. The sum of the art is obviously terrifying because Junji Ito, but yeah, I like the art style. I've always liked his art style. His writing is always my favorite, but it's translated, so like that's not necessarily his fault. It could be a translation issue. I'm also not the biggest fan of manga in general, but I do like horror mangas in particular, which is why I continue to read his books in particular. But yeah, this is a fun little spooky read for spooky season if you're interested in horror manga and don't mind gore. But I'm going to lay here and drink some vitamin C shots from Aldi and finish The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I'm currently, I think I have like about 4 hours left on my timer for the 12 hours of the 12-hour readathon. And I think I only have like maybe 2 hours left of this, so I might have to delve into a couple of other graphic novels. I do have 2 graphic novels checked out from the library. I have Snapdragon, which I believe is a middle grade graphic novel, and then I have another one I cannot remember the name of. I'll put the picture over here. So I might read both of those, and since they're graphic novels, I will probably read them on my iPad rather than on my phone or on my Kindle since it's in black and white, and I feel like that's a disservice to the artists. But yeah, I'm going to finish The Graveyard Book, and then we'll see if I get to the other 2 graphic novels, depending on how long it takes me. And it is days later because I got very sick. And it was thankfully just a cold. It wasn't COVID or anything, but I still had to go to work. But thankfully, they were short shifts. And I just didn't end this vlog. So I'm ending it now with a recap on everything that I've read. Maybe I'll start where I left off. I did finish The Graveyard Book that night. I will say that. I had literally 2 minutes left on the timer and just never filmed the clip of me finishing it. But what ended up happening was I finished The Graveyard Book. And then it was that same night that I stopped filming. And then I read the 2 graphic novels. I read Snapdragon. This was so cute. I loved it so much. I would absolutely read something else by this author. I believe this is the same author as Lumberjanes, which, even as someone who doesn't read a lot of graphic novels, I know that was a big graphic novel like series a couple years ago, so I would love to read that. So this had such good queer rep. It was so cute. It also had like magic rep. The art style was beautiful. I was obsessed. I loved it so much. And then I read the other graphic novel on my iPad, which was Over My Dead Body. And this also was so well written. I don't know if this author has written other things. I don't remember if I looked into that or not because I was in a sickly daze. But I really, really enjoyed this. I gave both of these graphic novels 5 stars. And I feel like I'm somewhat picky with graphic novels just because I don't read them that much. But I really enjoyed both of these, and they were definitely a good addition to my TBR to replace the other book that I ended up DNFing. And then I had like an hour and a half or 2 left on my timer that night. And so I read the first, I want to say 30% of this that night on my Kindle. And I ended up finishing it literally like yesterday. Yesterday was the first time I had read anything since I ended up and failed at ending this vlog when I was planning on it. And I really enjoyed this. I know I didn't actually finish this technically in the time period of my 12 hours, but I will talk about it because I finished it today or yesterday. And I really like this. This is a very, very, like, the best word for it is haunting. It's not necessarily like horror or scary. Like, some of parts of it are scary in the way that her prose is and the way, like, the atmosphere it creates. And, like, the ending, I guess, was the most spooky portion of it, but I really, really, really loved her writing style and the discussion on grief of, like, especially when the person that you are grieving hasn't technically passed away yet. The process of grieving somebody who is technically still alive but is completely different from the person that you originally, like, knew and loved was such a heavy topic in this. So if you have any, like, triggers for grief, don't read this. This was really, really heavy, but I did really enjoy it. And even though I didn't technically finish it in the time period, I really liked it. But so finished wise, I read these three in this vlog, and then I also read Burn Down Rise Up, which I finished, which is 4, and then I read the 2 graphic novels, which is 6. So technically I finished 6 books in 12 hours. Because I did finish these the night after I stopped filming, but I never did an outro or a recap of anything that I read. So I hope y'all enjoyed this 12-hour reading vlog. This is also the first video of my attempt at, don't hold me to this because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it because I am still recovering from the cold that I have. But this is my first attempt at my 13 days of Halloween, which wasn't the plan when I originally filmed this, but I'm going to throw it in there now since I have all the footage and I haven't uploaded it yet. But today I'm uploading this on a Saturday, and it is from this day, 13 days until Halloween, and I am planning to hopefully upload a video every other day from now until Halloween because I have a bunch of videos that I need to film. And a lot of them are spooky themed, and I want to get them up before Halloween, and I'm running out of time. So if you made it this far, leave a pumpkin and a ghost emoji together in the comments down below. Let me know if you're excited for my 13 days of Halloween plan, and thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.